Be still and know that I am God, Psalm 46:10. Yeah, in the quiet when I can't hear your voice, that's when faith becomes a choice. Let me tell you about the silence.
I've been praying for an answer, been crying out for weeks, but heaven feels like it's got nothing left to speak. I'm standing in the gap between my asking and your reply. In the silence, it's so loud it make me question.
Okay.
You're calling me Lucy.
Okay, I will call you Lucy. So we just start?
Yep.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Recent Fathered. I am Pastor Martin, and I have here
Me, Lucy.
Lucy. And today we're going to be talking about a couple of different things. And one of those things that we want to focus on is how do we live out our understanding of who God is. Or at least that's what I think we're talking about. Is that what we're talking about, Lucy?
I think so.
You think so? So, what would you tell our people that is, if you want to follow Jesus, what is something that is important for us to do?
You should read the Bible. You should pray. You should go to church, and you should just love on Him.
Love Him. Okay, so let's go through those four things because those are very important ones. Why do you think we should read the Bible?
Because we learn from our mistakes, and sometimes people can make mistakes, and you can learn from the Bible.
So you can learn from the Bible also because it's the Word of God, right? If I want to learn about you, I have to listen to your voice, right?
Yeah.
So why do you think we need to pray?
Because it helps us with our mistakes. Like, if we are sad about something or mad or messed up, we pray to God.
Yeah, and what is prayer? Talking to God, right? So if I want to get to know Lucy, I need to listen to his voice, her voice. Sorry, I was thinking about God. Lucy, I need to listen to Lucy, but also I need to talk to Lucy, right? Because then that way I can ask questions and I can ask, hey, why are you laughing so much? What did you find so funny?
Because.
Yes, exactly. So we have, let me see, we have reading the Bible. That's a very good one. Praying. Then the other one is going to church. Why do you think that going to church is important?
Because it's kind of like the Bible, except you have a pastor and he tells you about the Bible.
So you can learn from someone else.
Yes.
Yes, but it's not just the pastor, because you also have friends, right? That if you're feeling sad, or if you have a question, you can ask a teacher, you can ask a friend, and
a parent.
Yes, and our churches are where we love on one another, we help one another,
Greet.
Exactly. So we can do those things. Very good. And then the last one you said is about
to love on God and Jesus.
Love on God and Jesus. So what do you think that means?
That if you have a bad day, you can pray and love on them, and you can act like they're next to you.
So I like, when you said that, I was thinking about the word worship, which is to love God above all other things, right? Like loving God more than your video games.
Loving God more than your shows.
Your shows. Loving God more than food.
Or your dollhouse.
Or your dog. I don't have a dollhouse.
I have a cat.
A cat, okay. No one is perfect, that's okay. And then, but that also means loving God more than your mom and your dad. Can you think about?
Because God's kind of our Father.
Yes, He's not just kind of our Father, He is a Father. He says,
of all humans.
Yeah, He created all humans, and some of us have asked Him to be our Father. And because of Jesus, we are now called children of God. Do you have any questions?
What happens if you are are a bad person and then you start worshiping God?
That's a very good question. So the Bible says that everyone is a bad person. Have you ever thought about that? Like, I'm a bad person, you're a bad person, your dad is a bad person. And what that means is that we want to do only what we want, regardless, not thinking about how it's going to affect other people, right? If sometimes let's just say that there is
You hurt someone?
Yes, just because they make you mad and you want to show them that they cannot treat you like that.
Like Lilo and Stitch, how this girl pushed her down and Lilo pushed the other girl down.
Yes, out of anger, right? And that is not right.
She got mad and then she pushed her
they
off
shouldn't have done that to each other. So
should have said sorry.
yeah, and we're all selfish too. We all wanted to make it about us.
We're not all perfect either.
Yeah, exactly. They're not perfect. Exactly. So the good news of Jesus is that Jesus, the Son, became flesh, became a human being. He lived a life that we couldn't live. He lived perfectly.
And he died for our sins.
Yes. He said, Father, I will represent Lucy, and I will represent Martine, and I will represent Chad.
I will represent the whole world.
The whole world, and say, I'll take on their sins, on their badness, and you can punish me instead of punishing them. And that's what he did. And then he was resurrected, and he has life, and because of that, we also have life. So yes, a bad person can become, what happens to them is that they become a son of God. Even if they were bad, but now they want to follow Jesus.
All right, guys, we'll bring my dad in. Thanks for watching.
The whole audience is probably going to want her back instead of me.
Well, probably, but that's okay.
That was pretty adorable to watch that.
It was fun. I mean, we didn't plan the conversation. Yeah. These are all, really, we don't plan too much. We just have conversation, and because she comes to the kickboxing stuff, we have a good rapport, and I even practiced with her and everything. Yeah. And I think, I knew she had some good questions. She wanted to be part of it. And I think that's something as fathers, I just thought about it. Take a risk with your kids, give them a place where they can fail safely.
Yeah.
And try it out, right? You let her sit down there, try to do this. She could have been completely a mess.
Yeah.
But it was safe. She learned something from it, right? She's like, okay, I can do this, or maybe I cannot do this. That's what I like about kickboxing. I like about soccer. I'm doing a soccer camp, and one of the things that we do is we give the students a place where they can fail safely. They can try new things up to a certain point without getting injured, without getting hurt, in a safe way, but pushing themselves to learn some stuff. And I think that we as parents, fathers, sometimes it's easy for us to just go and fix the thing instead of teaching our kids how to fix it or let them deal with the problem for a while. I think sometimes I have a mom that has a couple kids and they start crying and she wants to go and fix it right away instead of letting the kid deal with it for a little bit and not letting them win whenever they're just being selfish or stuff like that. So I think we as parents, we need to take the time. Of course, there's some times that we're in Walmart and we need to get home and it's just like, I don't have time for this. Boom. But generally, we need to be looking for places. It is our job, given by God, to create those spaces so that our kids can practice discipline, can practice failing things in a way. So, for example, if you want your kid to pray aloud, you can start by at night, the two of you, hey, let's pray. You start praying, and then, okay, can you do the closing? Can you do, and little by little, you're having them practice together, the two of you. Then maybe you do it during a meal, and maybe you do it during a Bible study at home, and then now they're going to feel comfortable speaking at church whenever they do it, instead of being just put out there and it's like, okay, hey, will you pray for us? And like,
I've been there.
yeah, so
Yeah, I mean,
just a thought.
It's for sure. You're 100%. You got to think about, like, you're building up the duration of your capability, essentially. So, like, when we're filming these podcasts, like, they're going to get better the more we do them.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. You get more comfortable. That's the one thing I like about watching this one group of people that I watch right now, is you can tell they're very comfortable being together and being on the mic together. Mm-hmm. And they've built that rapport where it's like they're all relaxed. And I think sometimes when I film, I'm kind of like a robot. I'm more like, I just want to say what I want to say, but I'm not as relaxed. And with Lucy, it was scary. Like, I'm sitting over there like, I have no idea what she's going to say. And it turned out really beautiful to watch that play out. She could have said something crazy, and that wouldn't be bad.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing when I realized that I had too many voices in my head. Like, when I made that shift where it was like, I spent my entire life hiding in my own thoughts and hiding in my own brain and, like, controlling everything and doing everything for myself, essentially. It was so hard to essentially disconnect that. And what I mean, like, is when I'm reading the Bible, and this is just even if you're not reading the Bible, you're not doing anything, how often when you're focused on something does your brain start wandering?
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like I'm constantly having to train. I'll even pray. Like last night when I was reading the Bible, I was like, God, can you please, I can't do this, but can you give me the ability to separate my own thoughts so that I can be intentional in the Word?
Well, and the thing is, as fathers, so even if Lucy had said things that were wrong, it will then give you a chance to be like, oh, I know now that she did these things wrong. Now I know what I need to work with her. Not as and that's the other thing that I think I used to be like that, and I had to move away from it, and I see it with a lot of parents. It's like, they're embarrassing me. They do something wrong, therefore I am failing as a parent. And that fear is sometimes what it stops us from raising our kids in a biblical way, in a right way, because we're so afraid of what they may say or what they may do, instead of just like, okay, let me take this opportunity to see how I can use that energy or those words or the misunderstanding to educate him or her. For example, Lucy, I think we talked about this earlier. Lucy used to jump around and was a little distracting during kickboxing box. So you could have done two things. You could have gone and be like, ignore it. You could have gone, actually three things. You could have just gone and be like correcting. It's like, hey, you're making me look bad. Or you could have just looked at the situation. I'm like, okay, she's interacting with all my students. She has a lot of energy and she wants to be part of this. Let's involve her. And you did that. That's how I practice with her. And she has been practicing. And I noticed that, she gets to decide, I want to be part of it or I'm not going to be part of it. But now she has learned, you have taught her, if you're here, you are present. If you're not, that's okay. But it's because of that you were able to, because she made some mistakes, you were able to then correct it or aim her energy in the positive, constructive way. It's the same thing that we will do if she had made some mistakes here theologically. It will be like, okay, awesome. Now we know how she sees the Bible, how she sees the relationship, and that gives you data, information as a father to guide her or to correct or to talk later about, make a mental note of, okay, she struggled with understanding this part of the Bible.
I think it's also super important. I mean, this is from my perspective, of course, but the more vulnerable you can be as a parent, the better it's going to be. Like, I think sometimes as parents, we want to look so perfect and we want to do everything right in our kids' eyes because we feel like that's the way that we're going to make them grow up into like perfect humans. But like, unfortunately, that puts such a huge amount of weight on the child's shoulders sometimes.
And not only that, kids are not stupid. They're innocent, but they're not stupid. Eventually, they'll collect enough data to know that you're not perfect. And then if you are trying to portray something that you're not, that's going to come crashing in a certain time. Normally happens between ages 13, 14. That's why teenage years are so hard, because they start somewhere around age 7. I read somewhere that every 7 years you're kind of reform or something. So years 7 and 8, they start, the first 7 years, 8 years, parents are like gods. They're like idols. They're the amazing. You're the strongest person in the world. You're the most loving mom. You're perfect. Around 7, 8, you start finding out that Santa is not real and things are not real.
I know I'm not ready for that stage.
And, yeah, you start finding out certain things, and that starts creating a doubt, and you start questioning everything. If this is not real.
I was thinking about this the other day, though. This is an interesting thought. We create all these fake things in kids' lives.
Yep.
You know, we create the Easter Bunny, we create Santa, we create whatever, you know, Tooth Fairy, all these things. Is it wrong? Because here's the reality, right? Like, if God created everything and God is the creator of all things and we believe in God, do we want to mix those things up where if she starts questioning, you know, Santa, the Easter Bunny, then why isn't she going to start questioning God? And I had this talk a little bit with her last night, not any about, you know, believing in Santa or anything, but she still doesn't really understand who God is in the picture. And that's I mean, like I told her, I said, unfortunately, very few people truly know God or Jesus in the sense that if nothing bad has happened to you in life, you don't understand how to lean on God as much as once something happens. It's like in my life, like I said I believed in God and I did the motions and I checked the boxes for 38 years, but I still leaned on myself. I still did everything Chad's way, the way that Chad wanted it, and not really, and I just, you know, okay, yeah, I believe, I'm good, I'm saved. It wasn't until really that like my world came collapsing down and I tore everything apart, and then I really started diving into the Word and understanding the Word more, that made me kind of understand I have to deny myself. I wouldn't have known, at her age, I don't know what she can understand that.
And the thing is, so there's two questions there, you know. I think that the second question will be, what, are we even capable of fully understanding who God is? I will say no. I think that part of the Christian walk is to understand God more every single day.
For sure.
Right? There is some things about God that He has made clear, and they're essential to faith and to know who He is. I've been listening a lot to God Logic and a lot of arguments. So, like, that's why whenever she said about the pray, you know, if there's a tornado and then you pray to God, you know, part of it is.
I think she said that because she's been watching that viral video that's been going around.
Yeah, but the thing is, I can pray to a God that is not Jesus and is not the Holy Spirit, is just the Father. That will not be our God.
Yeah.
Right? It has to be Trinitarian. That's the God of the Bible. If you say Jesus was not a God, he was not God, or if you say there are three gods, even if you pray to...
She asked that the other day too, because she has a hard time. And I can see where a lot of people have a hard time with that concept, the thing that I tried to break down to her, the easiest way that I could think about it is, can you live without your brain, your heart, or your flesh?
So,
You need all three.
yes, but so going back to your first question, we tend to use certain things to make it easy for the kids. So, like Santa to show God's giving, loving thing, and that could lead them astray
Yeah.
once they find out that Santa doesn't exist. The way that you're talking about, it's actually, and I'm saying it with love,
Okay.
it's a heresy,
Okay.
right? Because what you're doing is, in a kid's mind, they will think that God, Father, Son, and Spirit are three parts of one God.
Okay.
And that's not, that actually, there was a lot of arguments about that. So it's three persons, three distinct persons, but it's one God, one essence. So they're not three different essences. So even trying to say, God is, for example, this is another thing whenever they try to explain Trinity. God is like water, that is ice, steam, and water. Well, that's modalism. It's the same substance becoming three different forms, and that's not God.
Okay.
Because if you think about it, water, a cup of water, if you freeze it, it becomes a frozen cup of water, a big chunk of ice. And then whenever you melt it, let's just say that magically we could get all of those same molecules and trap them in a paper or something. They are going not to be able to speak to one another if they were able to speak to one another, because the vapor is now vapor, and at this moment there is no water, and then there is no ice. So it's also a wrong way of seeing it. I have for many years trying to look for a way of explaining the Trinity with some examples, and the best thing that I've heard from other apologetics people is like, let's try not to use examples, because then we're going to be breaking one of the commandments, is like trying to make God into some kind of image.
Okay.
God is God. And we just need to understand that he reveals himself. It might be hard to understand, but he's three persons, three distinct persons, one God, and one essence. And part of that, it's more complicated to try to explain it fully. Part of it is faith. I'm gonna be honest with you. I understand it. I believe it. I sometimes have a hard time fully explaining every single question that people have about Trinity. I'm still trying to, it's like soccer. I know how to kick the ball, but when someone says, "Why am I kicking the ball wrong?" I'm able to look at their figure and their posture and see like, okay, you're kicking the ball the wrong way, right? But then to be able to explain it and teach it to someone sometimes is hard. It takes you some learning. Probably as a instructor,
For sure.
was the same way. Like, how to react and do.
I ran into that a lot this week. Where
Right.
It's like
So-
people want to understand pressure, but pressure is almost something that you can't see. Like they're like, how do you generate more pressure? And it's like, I don't fully know how to explain how I generate the pressure that I generate. It's just that I've done it.
You know it, you understand it, but expressing it, you need to practice it a little bit. So that is something that I have been practicing on how to, because one of the things that I would like to do is eventually have a Bible series, a preaching series in which we talked about the doctrines, the basic doctrines. And I know, at least in my head, that what I just explained about the Trinity is not enough if I was fully not, if I had no Christian background. I would still have questions. So what do you mean about persons? What is the difference between persons and essence and all the stuff? So, I don't want to get too much into it right now because I'm still, but I think that is that is something that we as Christians, and maybe because I've been listening so much to God Logic, I'm just thinking like we need to be, Peter says this, we need to be ready to answer those questions in not just a memorize and but actually understand it and be able to explain it to people, not just for the sake of others, but also because it trains you to fully understand how to how to deal with
I
a
think
situation in yourself.
What does it say in, is it Galatians or James? I've been reading both of those before bed. But, your work strengthens your faith.
James.
Is it James?
Yeah, it talks a lot about faith, and I didn't bring my Bible today, so.
But yeah, essentially it's like, he says in there, like, your works are what's going to strengthen your faith. The you being in the Word is going to strengthen your faith. I think it kind of goes to the same thing that you're saying, essentially.
Yes, and
like you're not sharpening yourself so that you can go out in the world and necessarily like need to battle with all these people. You're sharpening yourself through the Word so that you can be transformed, so that people see that.
Yeah, and I mean the way that the thing that I'm thinking right now is how things change in the world, and then how do you use biblical concepts to put it into practice, right? You first need to understand the spiritual concepts so that you can put them into practice.
And if you're not transformed, you're going to have a hard time transforming someone else.
Yes. Because, yes, we are supposed to share that with those, but it starts with us. Like,
I actually heard something yesterday that blew my mind. I kind of like this. But we think about fasting, like you fast for food.
mm-hmm.
But the guy that I've really enjoyed listening to yesterday, he said, how often, he basically in a sense said, when you're not in the Word, you're fasting.
Spiritually speaking.
Yeah. And it kind of blew my mind because it was like, yeah, like before I started actually reading the Bible and being intentional with it, like how long did I go? I believe in God, but it had been 3 years since I even read any of the Bible. So like I had fasted for 3 years from Scripture, and in a sense, now it's like every day I'm in the Word.
So that reminds me, we send kids to Oil Boat Camp, which is, I think I mentioned it before, a Christian camp south of here. Actually, my two sons are over there. And I go and do a camp every single year. And one of the things that I notice is that at the end of the camp...
I think next year I'm going to try to go.
Yeah?
I don't know.
We'll
see.
Cool. It's normally for teenagers, but...
Lucy can go?
Yeah. We can talk about it.
All right.
But the thing is, go, and she may be able to go this year. Anyway, whenever we came, I will normally take my youth to the camp, and then I will come back to church, and then the next time that we met at church, which was like the week after, they're like, oh my gosh, I miss camp so much. I felt the presence of God so much. I was in the Word. I was all this stuff, and then now I have to wait until next year to experience that again. And I used to use this example, which it goes with you. It's like, imagine that once a year you went and you ate everything you wanted. It was like a feast for 1 week, and then after that, you went on a diet in which you ate one meal on Wednesdays, one meal on Sunday mornings, and maybe a little snack once in a while, maybe a little snack throughout the week. How strong do you think you will be?
Yeah.
How capable would you be able to deal with everybody? And like, no, I wouldn't. It's like, because you're not fed.
Yeah.
You need to eat every single day. The reason why you love and you felt the presence of God is because every single day in the morning we all read the scriptures, then we had discussions about the scriptures, then we worshiped together, we had fellowship together, we ate together, we did everything together, focusing on Christ. So your soul, your spirit was filled with that. And you did an amazing growth in 1 week. Can you imagine if you continue to do that every single day?
What do you think somebody would get out of, like, let's say they read 1 page of the Bible a day, and then they asked AI to break down what's taking place in that page and read what the context or the exegesis process of that 1 page would be? Do you think that, because here's the thing that I see a lot, for sure this happened to me a lot, you start reading the Bible and then you're just like, oh, all this stuff, like, it's way too much. Like, especially when you get to like Leviticus, Numbers. Some of it is really fun to read. Others is really hard to read.
So I wouldn't have a problem with using AI as a quote-unquote commentary. So what I mean with that is...
It doesn't need to become your God, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, for example, well... Yeah, I'm not going to even go there. So I used to use Logos software.
Okay.
It's a great software to use, has commentaries and stuff. Before that, I had books of commentaries. And the books of commentaries, when I prepare for a sermon, when I prepare for my own things, I wouldn't go first and read the commentaries.
You would
and then
go or wouldn't?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay.
I first will go to the text.
Yeah.
I will read the text. I will answer on my own. What is the text saying? How does it apply to me? What are the questions that I still have? You know, is there any word there or any action or anything that I don't know? So if it says Syria, I would probably write Syria. Who the heck is Syria? Or what is Syria? Okay?
Okay.
Anything like that. Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, who's Nebuchadnezzar, blah, blah, blah. Then what I will do is I will go to the commentaries and I will read the commentaries with those questions in my mind. But the difference is that when I'm going there, I may learn something new, but I'm already going with what God has shown me. And I'm just looking to see the answers of the questions that I have.
So that's how you would do it
if I were to use AI as a tool. So for example, I would probably just write, if I'm reading Daniel 7 and I'm just going through this and it says, okay, there's this beast and this beast and this beast and this beast. The Bible is not telling me which beasts are the beast. We know that it represents governments or kingdoms that are supposed to come, but we're assuming who the kingdoms are. So I can Google or I can AI or I can use a commentary in which it will tell me based on historical things and stuff like that probably the first one was Babylon, the second one was the Persian, the third one was the Greeks, then the Romans because of the 10 things and stuff like that, the 10 hills, and there's 3 princes, so there's probably this person, and they will tell you who supposedly could be the 3 emperors, and all of those things is information that adds context to it. And it is up to me to look at the data that I'm getting. But even if all of that is awesome for us to study, it comes down to chapter 7 of Daniel in this example is that God has dominion over every single kingdom. And every single kingdom will not last because there's only one kingdom that will last. That's what I need to know. Even though I love America and we're going to celebrate their 250 years
That'd be a long time.
of independence.
Yeah.
I know the Bible teaches me, and I am an American, I love America, but I know that America one day will cease to exist.
For sure. 100%.
And when that happens, and if that happens during my time, then I know that God's still sovereign. God's still, supreme.
Yeah.
I come from a country, Venezuela, that has had 5 countries. So from the moment that it got their independence, there have been 5 republics. America has had 1. We almost divide into 2, but so that's good. So those are the things that when I'm like, okay, so if God is sovereign over the big kingdoms, can he also be sovereign until the small kingdoms? Can he be sovereign about your business, about your house, about the people that you interact through? Yes, of course he can. So that will be the thing that I will get out of that. And then that's kind of what I will do. If I find something that I struggle with, I will probably just ask. I'm okay using AI. I do not recommend that you only use AI. God has given us our church, our fellow Christians, our pastors, our teachers, apostles, all of this so that we can be built up.
Yeah.
Right? I think that is Ephesians, right? Ephesians 4.
I think the other thing that's scary about going down that road fully too is you do start almost just becoming your own God, in the sense that if you're only focused in AI, if you're only focused in AI, you're like, I don't need anything else. I have my Bible and I have AI and I can just sit here and I have God all to myself. But before you know it, it's kind of all self. Where if you are getting out in your church, in your community, and you're doing exactly what the covenant says, which is to love your neighbor, that's deeper.
Well, and the thing is also AI, there is a trope, there's a funny thing that AI does is that every time that you ask a question, they're like, that's amazing question. Or if you challenge him, like, that is the most interesting thing that you, like, I use AI for planning my soccer practices. And then I'm like, hey, he gives me something. I'm like, well, so sometimes at the end of the practice, I give a summary of what I saw. It's just like taking my notes. And it's like, this is the more insightful notes that you have given me all summer. I'm like, no, it hasn't.
Yeah.
Because I know the other ones that I get. But it has that tendency of, and I think that it probably was created in that way to engage us, to...
It almost reinforces self.
Yes. So that is the danger of using AI as a theological teacher or as a theological commentator, explainer of the Bible.
Yeah.
I'm okay using it for fact, and I am looking at it like I look at a commentary. It's the opinion of a man. This way, when I use AI, if I use it for the Bible, I will be, this is the opinion from many men collected by an AI.
Yeah.
So, but it is through questioning and asking and all stuff, because AI is not going to ask me, do you really believe that?
Yeah, that's true.
How are you going to apply that to your wife? Or how are you going to apply it to
It's not going to, like, what is in the Bible, where it's basically like 7 times over when you have to kind of like be sharpened or refined or whatever.
Look,
like
I'll tell you.
You and I are going to constantly sharpen and refine each other.
Look, I use AI sometimes, and I
for sure use it.
I have trained the AI because it's using a database that uses all different. So what I tell them is like, this is the gospel. So I've taught AI. I have like a little chat. Yeah. It says that this is the gospel. When I speak about the gospel, this is what I'm meaning. So when I ask you to analyze a text or to look information, I want you to see it through the eyes of God is the creator. He desired a relationship with us. He's a Trinitarian. We fell short of the glory of God. We seek to rebel against God. I talk about the 3 things about sin, transgressions, and iniquities. Then I talk about how we are always building some kind of system to explain ourselves or gain ourselves back to heaven without needing God. How Jesus came and was the sacrifice and the reconciliation. All of those things I've taught AI.
Yeah.
And when I say, And then I tested. I said, hey, if there is a drug addict that comes over here, tell me what will be the gospel for his own situation. And he goes through it. I'm like, okay, no, correct this, correct that. That is I train the gospel, and then I say, hey, but I mostly use it for like, not mostly, but when I use it, I'm like, okay, when so I was just teaching about last week was Daniel and the Lions King. So I ask, and the Lions Den. I ask, okay, so how old was Daniel? When does the Bible say? When did Jerusalem fell? When
I like
did
using it for that too.
yeah, those to give me those dates,
Yeah.
and then based on those things, how old will have been Daniel?
Yeah.
Right? Because what I was focusing on is the Bible tells us that everybody know, even his enemies knew that he prayed daily. So he had been doing it all his life. So I wanted to know how many years has he had done it.
Yeah.
And how, because he has done it all this time, there is, and he had such a relationship with God because of that, like Allah was not going to change that because it became part of who he is. He is the man that prayed 3 times a day to God, facing Jerusalem. I even asked, hey, where does this Jerusalem, why is he facing Jerusalem? That tradition started with King Solomon. I didn't know that. I probably would have found that if I read a commentary.
Yeah.
Because you find those kind of information there. And it tells you, okay, this was probably Cyrus was, I think, 609, whenever Babylon fell, and blah, 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 and then you can do the math. And
yeah, that's awesome. I was praying last night, and it's interesting because I never knew fully what it meant to, like, deny yourself or to die to, to basically die of your own flesh and then to lean on Jesus. Like, you hear these things, but it never really clicks. At least, I mean, maybe I'm just slow, and that's probably the case. But I was sitting there last night praying, and it was like, I am so tired of leaning on myself. Like, I just got to a point where it was like, my whole life is like, I got to have control. I got to have answers. I got to make sure this is taken care of. And in that moment, as I'm praying, I was just thinking, like, I am tired of leaning on myself. And it's like, in that, it kind of clicked. It was like kind of an awe moment for me where it was like, I have to deny myself and lean on Christ. And that's kind of what's been so cool about, like, just reading. Like, I got frustrated yesterday. Lucy wasn't listening to wanting to clean up her room. And, there's just, she'll have her moments where we all have where she wanted to kind of throw a fit. She slammed her door, like they're just normal stuff. And I got mad and I walked around the block, and then I came back and I just like went right into the word. The old me would have exploded, would have yelled, would have done some kind of discipline, would have probably gotten a fight with Mandy. But I just walked around the block. I came home, I read the word, and it was just kind of neat because it's like, I don't know, like I can see the difference in like actually allowing you to die to yourself and let Jesus have control. But that picture never really made sense to me until recently.
why do you think that you said that I got tired of being in control or something like that?
I think because I'm going through this process right now of buying a new house, and all of that's taking on top of, like, the economy is kind of crazy right now, and my business isn't like a necessity business. So it's like I'm buying a house. My business isn't really a necessity business. It's more of a hobby business. I'm trying. It stinks because I know it's not works based. I know it's relationship based. But in my mind as a human, we're always trying to make things works based. At least for me. And it's so hard. I'm like, I'm not doing enough being in the Word. I'm not doing enough at my job. I'm not doing enough in my family. I'm not doing it. And then it's like, all of those things are works based. So it's all just me, got to do more. That way, for whatever reason, I'm more successful or I have a better relationship. But that's not what it is. So then it just hit to the point where it's like, okay, there it is. I have to die to self and lean on Christ.
And partly is because God is the only one that can have, let's just put it like this, it's the only one that can multitask to the infinity that is needed.
Yeah.
In order to everything to go. You cannot control everything. So the more we try to control it, we try to take God's work, and it's like so much that we need to do that it tires us. We lose, we're thinking too much, we're doing too much, and yes, we have to, up to a certain point, deny ourselves and just say, God, you, like the famous song said, you take the wheel.
Yeah.
Like I just can't. I only can focus on certain
My
things.
brain runs a million. I mean, I did from like age 8 years old to 38 years old. I hid in my dreams and my thoughts, and I created this superhero life of myself so that I didn't have to. Even Mandy makes fun of me now sometimes because she'll be like, you really missed life. Like, you missed all of these things. And in some ways, I think I did, because it was like some kind of like protective mechanism. But now I'm sitting here like, I just want the peace in my mind so that it's just me and God, and I'm intentional in this moment. Like that 4 or 5 years ago, if we were sitting here in this room, I would be thinking about all the other crap that I need to do. I wouldn't actually be present in this conversation. And now it's like all of that noise is gone, and it's really kind of, in a way, peaceful. It's not perfect. It gets better every day. Kind of starts back to where the beginning of our conversation started, where it's like you're training yourself. Like, I feel like I'm training myself to lean on Christ more and deny myself.
So, and that's why it's called, we call them spiritual, people call it spiritual disciplines, to discipline yourself. I call it more, some people call it spiritual practices. I like to call it spiritual habits, right? You get into the habit of doing this. They don't earn you anything, but they are moments in which you intentionally want to do something. So you intentionally want to pray. Daniel intentionally set apart 3 times a day to pray to God. That was not earning him an audience with God, but he was putting intentionality on seeking God, on reminding themselves, this 3 times I'm going to do it. And then it became part of what he does and what he wants in his life, because it became a habit.
And it kind of goes back to where you started the whole podcast with Lucy. Essentially, like, if I'm listening to you and I'm talking to you, I'm building a relationship with you. Like, it's not about the works, it's about the relationship. That's kind of a hard thing that we do. It does stink because it's easy to become checkboxed and not even know it. Like,
it is easy to be like, okay, I need to clean the house because my wife is going to come home and then she's going to not like that. And it's just, I'm just focusing on the work part and the punishment part.
Instead of the relationship
Instead of like, hey, so like now, I will confess this. For many, many years, I did not like doing my own bed. And then we got married, and she did the bed, and she will work early sometimes, leave. I will wake up, I will leave that a mess, and she will get angry, and sometimes I will do it out of, I don't want her to get angry. I don't want her to nag me. And there was a point in which she just said, hey, I want to come home and lay down on a nice made bed. It makes me happy. It makes me want to come home. And I'm like, okay, now I do that. And because I struggle with that, this is what I did. I read the Atomic Habits. So Atomic Habits, it tells you pretty much like, hey, there's something that you like to do. Put something that you don't like to do before that. And that way you force yourself to do the thing that you don't want to do. So you know what I did? I don't like walking naked in my house. Just being honest. Some people like it. I don't. I don't want my kids to see me naked. So what I do is before I get dressed, after I take a shower, I put my bed together. I put my clothes in there, and then I get dressed. So that's a way for me to force me to do the bed. And now I don't even think about it. Yeah. I do it because I know that's what I'm supposed to do and what Justine is going to be happy about.
Well, it even goes a little bit further. I like what you're saying because I don't know exactly how you said. I'm probably going to mess this up. But in the beginning, you were talking about like how you didn't like to do the bed and she wanted you to do the bed. So you were doing the bed essentially kind of like...
To not be punished.
Right.
Or not to...
And how much do we do that with our relationship with God?
Yeah.
But then when I looked at it from the other perspective, if you do that thing, right, if you make the bed, she's coming home...
And she's pleased with you.
Not only is she pleased, but it can also improve your relationship.
Yeah.
And now you're not doing it out of, I got to do this out of works to please her. You're doing this because you want a relationship with her.
Yes.
And it's like, you know, if I had the same thing with something with Mandy or Lucy or anybody in my life, like if I'm doing it just because I want to do it so that you're not mad at me, that's not going to be the greatest walk and relationship with God. But if I'm doing it out of the sense that it's like, I'm going to get more time with God, that relationship's going to be stronger. Same thing with being a father or being a husband or any of these things.
Yeah.
Like I get to have more time with Mandy if I can take some of this off her plate and she can have some more peace, compared to, okay, the way you show up's different. And I think a lot of men miss that sometimes.
Yeah, and the thing is, most of us will say, well, I don't have the time to read the scriptures. Like, okay, fine. You drive. Is it better to not read the scriptures at all or to listen to the scriptures? Would it be better to read it and take notes and study them? Yes. But if you cannot study it and all the stuff, maybe reading is enough. You read it and then you can go. But maybe you don't have time to even read it. Then guess what? Get an audiobook. There's tons of free audiobooks now.
And the sad part about it, the reality is, okay.
But my point that I'm trying to make is that because it's the thing, even if you just, as you're driving, you listen to the scripture and you make it part of your routine, eventually you listen to the scripture to the point that you're going to desire to want to read it.
That's true.
And then you're going to desire to want to study and understand it, right? So I think Romans, Paul talks about a little bit that the faith starts by hearing, right? So even if you just start by hearing it, that's okay. You know, the problem is we think that means, okay, well, if I go to Sunday on Sundays and I listen to a sermon, that's going to be enough. Well, you have not trained yourself to be present when you're listening to a sermon.
Yeah.
I, as a pastor, can tell you that I can see that about 10 to 20% of my people come ready to listen.
That's true. Yeah, how many people are sitting in church
thinking about lunch?
Well, not even that. How many people are sitting in church just to check box that I get salvation? Or how many people are sitting in church saying, I want relationship? And this is a hard truth that's going to be for a lot of men and women or anybody watching this. But if you believe in God, if you truly believe in God, that God created everything, that everything has a purpose, and you believe in the Bible, you're crazy if you don't think you have time to read it. Because I couldn't imagine believing in something so much, that's massive. That's not like believing in like something silly and small or whatever the case is. Like, you're believing your entire life, you're putting everything. It's not just, I say I believe in God and that's it. You're believing that this thing that created everything that exists, that's massive. And you're telling me that you don't have time to get to know that person.
What you have is you don't have those priorities.
Right, exactly. So like at the core of it, if you're struggling at home, if you're like, I'm having problems with my wife, I'm having problems with my kids, I'm having problems with myself, be in the Word. I promise. Because here's the thing: when I stopped listening to the music that I listen to, when I stopped watching the news all the time, I still make mistakes on these things. I'm not perfect by any means, but I can tell you, like, I don't doom scroll as much as I used to, even close. I don't spend as much time in video games. I don't watch porn anymore. I don't sit here and the content of what's coming in my life is literally what matters. Like, God's at the core of it. I'm in the Scripture. I'm listening to God while I'm driving places. I'm listening to different, audiobooks or different sermons or different, like, the content of my life is literally like God, my business, my family, being intentional. And everybody has time for that. Whether they say they don't or not, like, whatever other stupid crap you're doing in your life, there's time. There's 24 hours in a day. I mean, it takes me 10 minutes to read the book of James or Galatians.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's time, but I can tell you.
You literally could read. So this is the thing. I think it was Philemon. In Oilville Camp, for a long time, when you went to the bathroom to pee as a guy, right in front of it.
I just like how you worded that.
Well, because
okay.
I mean, I guess they also had it in the stool. So they put Philemon right there.
Okay.
So every time that you went to pee, you could be reading Philemon. So what I'm trying to say with this is that you could read the Bible while you go and poop.
Yeah.
Now, is it the best time to do the Bible study? No.
But it's a good start
But if
anywhere.
yeah, that's why I meant
relationship
that's why I meant if you're driving, you're driving
for sure
from here to over there, at least listen to it. I'm not telling you to drive and read it.
Yeah.
But start yourself, try to find places where to bring it. And what I will say is this, because you just said if you are having problems with your wife, with your kids, with your business, start with God. Yes. The reason is because probably the problem with your wife, your kids, and all the stuff are rooted in something that you're struggling with that only God can show you with and can help you with that. Once you get God right, everything else is going to follow. Or like Jesus will say, seek first the kingdom and all things will be added to you.
Yeah. The more that I know God, the more that it transforms me, and then I show up in my life, in my relationships, and that's amazing.
Well, and the reason why I was wanting to bring that, because what people may instinctively go is like, hey, I have problems with my wife. I have to first work on my relationship with my wife or the relationship with my kid.
It's the same thing with jiu-jitsu.
Before
I got to get in shape before I do jiu-jitsu. Just do jiu-jitsu.
Yes, and that will bring you into shape.
Yeah.
Or same thing with kickboxing, or soccer.
Yeah.
Whatever sport.
Everybody has the excuse, but the problem is like the solution's there. You just have to pick it up and start reading it.
You have to make it a priority. If you want to lose weight, you have to make a priority. Believe it or not, it's not exercise, number one. It's what you eat.
Don't look at me.
I know. I look at you. If you want to lose weight, and because I'm a fat, I know this. Number one thing is not exercise. It's what you put into your system. In the same way, spiritually, the number one thing is not what you do. It's not how you exercise what you believe. It's what you put in. It's the Word of God coming in. What are you eating? And if you're eating the daily news, if you're eating M&M or, pornography, or the house of fire or whatever the thing is, and that is what you're eating theologically, you're going to be sick.
Yeah, you're not going to produce much fruit.
You're not going to be able to produce. If I stop eating and I keep going to soccer practices and kickboxing and all stuff, eventually I will be tired, eventually I will get injured, or I will injure someone else. Because I will be tired. I may fall asleep while I'm driving and hit someone. That is the same way. I have to be faithful at my nutrition spiritually in this case, spiritually. If I want to lose weight, then it's physically.
Yeah.
That took me for a lot of time. I just thought, I just need to exercise more. I just need to exercise more. And then when I did the math and when I did some research, it's like, I cannot work out more than my stupidity on what I eat.
Yeah.
If I work out 3 hours and then I go and eat 20 chicken wings and a big ice cream, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I can go and, like Paul will say in 1 Corinthians 13, I can worship. I can go to church. I can feed the hunger and all the stuff, but I don't have any love. I don't have any desire for that. I'm not seeking God. That's all just noise. That's just all nothing.
Yeah.
That's just actions. But it's not doing anything. Or the same way, if I organize the bed and I just tell Justine whenever she walks in, I clean that bed because you were nagging me about it. Guess what? It doesn't matter how beautiful the house, the bed is.
Yeah. That's not.
I just destroyed it.
Relationship.
It's not building a relationship. So
Yeah. That's good.
okay.
I think it's a good episode.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
You guys have a great week. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on next episode.
Have a nice one.